Every road has a story, and some roads lead us straight into the pages of history. Welcome to Dwine Road Stories. Today, our journey brings us to the quiet riverfront of Helena-West Helena, where the mighty Mississippi River once witnessed war, freedom, sacrifice, and the changing of a nation. From Civil War battles to the stories carried by the river itself, this is more than just a park. This is a living piece of American history. Join me as we uncover the historical significance of Riverpark in Helena, Arkansas. Mississippi River defines Helena. The Mississippi River has for centuries been the backbone of life in Helena, fertilizing its soil, supporting its farms and businesses, connecting people and cultures. Helena, built at the base of Crowley's Ridge, finds itself in a unique location along the river. Helena's founders recognized that the higher ground near the ridge provided a safe place to build. At the same time, they could enjoy the town's proximity to the water's edge. How do we define the delta in Helena? The Delta region, eastern Arkansas, eastern Louisiana, and western Mississippi, is not a true river delta, but is the current or past floodplain of the Mississippi River. The true delta of the Mississippi River is south of New Orleans, where the river meets the Gulf of Mexico. Tributaries and streams meander over the landscape to feed the Mississippi River. The soils of the delta are rich because of the sediments deposited by the rivers and streams as they make their way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Did you know the name Mississippi comes from the Algonquin language and means Father of Waters? As you walk along Helena River Park, it's easy to notice something unique about this riverfront. Beneath the wooden walkways and docks lies land that does not always stay dry. When the mighty Mississippi River rises during heavy rains and seasonal flooding, these lower areas can disappear completely beneath the water. What you see today as open ground can quickly transform into part of the river itself. And that is the power of the Mississippi. For centuries, this river has shaped the landscape, flooded the delta, nourished the land, and changed the lives of the people who lived beside it. The flooding here is not unusual. In fact, it is part of the natural rhythm of the Mississippi River. During periods of high water, the river expands beyond its normal banks, swallowing parts of the shoreline beneath powerful currents. The docks and lower walkways at Helena River Park were designed with this reality in mind, built to endure the changing water levels of one of America's greatest rivers. Standing here, you realize something important. The Mississippi is never truly still. It rises, it falls, it reshapes the land. And for generations, communities like Helena have learned to live beside both its beauty and its power. The river connects communities. Among our nation's most valuable treasures, a web of inland waterways that winds its way through America's heartland to the Mississippi River. Boats carrying people and freight use these well-traveled marine highways to travel from one city or town to the next. A far-reaching impact. The inland waterway system includes about 12,000 miles or navigable channels. Together, they offer a reliable alternative to road, rail, and air transportation. They move commerce to and from 38 states, serve industrial and agricultural centers, facilitate imports and exports at gateway posts on the Gulf Coast. On the banks of the River Helena is the only town between Memphis and Vicksburg that sits directly on the river. Passenger vessels often stop in the town, long recognized for its scenic beauty. Inland river vessels usually make stops daily to drop off and pick up barges. In America, there are places where history was written in books, and there are places where history was carved into the earth by blood, sacrifice, and the relentless current of a mighty river. This is one of those places. Here in Helena-West Helena, beside the legendary Mississippi River, the destiny of a divided nation once hung in the balance. Today, the river drifts quietly through the delta, calm, still, almost as if it's guarding the ghosts of the past beneath its waters. But in the summer of 1863, this peaceful shoreline became the center of one of the most pivotal struggles in American history. The nation was tearing itself apart, north against south, brother against brother. And whoever controlled the Mississippi River controlled the very heartbeat of America. Union forces seized Helena and transformed these bluffs into a fortress of war. Soldiers crowded these hills. Cannons stood watch over the river. Supply ships carved through the waters day and night. Then came July 4th, 1863. Before the first light of dawn, Confederate forces launched a desperate assault to reclaim Helena. The delta erupted. Gunfire shattered the silence. Cannons roared across the riverbanks. Smoke swallowed the hills as thousands of soldiers fought through chaos, fear, and fire. The earth itself seemed to tremble beneath the violence. For hours, the battle raged without mercy. And when the smoke finally lifted, the Union victory here helped secure control of the Mississippi River, a turning point that would forever alter the course of the Civil War. But Helena's story is not only a story of battle. For thousands of enslaved African Americans, this became a place of something even greater: hope. As Union forces occupied Helena, enslaved families escaped plantations across the South and crossed into freedom along these very riverbanks. For many, this was the first ground where they could finally stand as free human beings. Imagine the emotions that once filled this shoreline: fear, relief, uncertainty, and the fragile, overwhelming hope of a future they had never been allowed to dream of before. Even after the war faded into history, the river continued shaping life here. Steamboats carried cotton, timber, and commerce through Helena, helping fuel the rise of the American South. And though the decades passed, the Mississippi never stopped flowing. Today, the cannons are silent. The soldiers are gone. The smoke of battle has vanished into history. But the river remains, still flowing, still watching, still carrying the stories of those who fought, those who suffered, and those who found freedom here. Because this is more than a riverfront park. This is sacred ground beside the Mississippi River, a place where America bled, where freedom rose, and where history changed forever. Standing here beside the Mississippi River, it's hard to imagine that this peaceful place once witnessed moments that helped shape America. From Civil War battles to stories of freedom, Helena's Riverfront is more than just a place on the map. It's a reminder that history lives on in the roads we travel and the stories we choose to remember. Thank you for joining me here in Helena-West Helena. This is Dwine Road Stories, where every road leads to a story worth discovering. And until our next adventure, keep exploring and keep chasing the stories beyond the horizon.